So from down here you can see our goal is to get these flex runs as straight as possible and then tie them to enough rigid pipe to where the total length is a half a box or a half a bag. So that's 12.5 feet. And then you can see, I think maybe one or two of them is going to be an 8, like in this room with this larger windows and then more windows to the left. Instead of trying to figure out how to get two 6-inch ducts in here, we opted to just put one 8-inch right there in the middle. And then most of the rest of these rooms are all 6s, and that'll be plenty to cover this. Now, one thing a little different about this house, this is going to be a spray foam house, so it's going to have quite a bit of insulation. Here's a custom sheet metal return we built. That's going to be a 20 by 25, and we needed to get the pipe out from under the platform. We needed it to be right under the platform, under the walkboard to the platform, I should say. So we just built this sheet metal duct out here. I think it's 10 inches deep, and then it comes out here where the pipe can. And it comes out here where the pipe can come out of it and go over to the return. And we've got 2 of those. Believe it or not, this is only a little bit over 3 tons load here. So here's the other 20 by 25 return. We're making these big deep boxes because we want it quiet. So this is almost 3,000 feet on this top floor here, and with all the insulation and the real nice envelope he's creating with this spray foam and a few other factors, the engineers came up with just a little over 3 tons of BTUs. Now we are using a 4-ton air handler to get 4 tons of airflow. We've got 17 drops, 17 actual vents. So even though the tonnage requirement, the BTU requirement is very low, you've still got to have the travel for the airflow. So it's a little bit of a custom job, a little bit different than the ones you see every day, but we'll get some footage when it's done and it should look good. So I'm just kind of recording along the way. Thanks for watching. Okay, we're just checking in out here at the geothermal job, and we did pass rough-in inspection, of course, and they have done the spray foam insulating job. So I just thought I'd get a little footage on that. It looks pretty good. They got the walls shaved down, ready for sheetrock, and of course we did our air test on the duct, and it was so tight the fella thought something was wrong with his machine. He was joking, of course, but so I asked him to leave his tape over the holes there till after we paint and sheetrock, so we don't get a bunch of stuff sprayed up in all our vents, and he was glad to do it. And boy, that spray foam sure does cover a bunch of stuff. So we should be, I don't know, I'm going to say maybe 30 days away from startup. I mean, we'll start this thing up to give them heat to paint with and, you know, finish the drywall and stuff. So we'll give them heat as soon as they get a permanent power meter. That's the only thing we're waiting on, really. But I just thought I'd get some footage of the spray foam insulation job. It looks pretty good, and we're pretty excited. Can't wait to see just exactly how quiet this machine is with these returns. I mean, it's going to be pretty powerful. So hopefully we can create the quiet, comfortable, efficient environment, which are our 3 primary goals. So let's take a look downstairs real quick and see, make sure nobody's done anything we don't know about. I don't think they've started down here as far as any insulation. They haven't. And there's our 2 geos, and that's not where they'll sit. They'll sit up against that wall, of course. And the plumbers have brought our 2 1-inch lines. So those 2 1-inch lines are the incoming water lines, and then the 2 3/4 that we ran here. These are the discharge lines, and they run as straight as we could get them, and they run all the way down to this end of the house, and then they make a turn right there. We got them in a spot where we're going to be able to create a really quiet situation here with this. And here they are where they go down the wall and they go out. And we've already started out here, but they're not quite ready for us to finish yet. So what we'll do on our discharge, he's going to use the discharge water to top off his pond and to keep it filled, you know. So we'll be discharging into a pond. And here's where they come out of the house. And they'll go down in the ground. We've already done a preliminary ditch, just to trench, just to show where we're going to be. So we'll go down in the ground right here. We'll have a big square lid you can pull off, like those water boxes you see with the green plastic lid, and down in there will be the unions and the serviceable, tunable, changeable restrictors. Likely we'll have a 6 to 8 gallon per minute on one, and probably a 10-12 gallon per minute on the other. So that's where we'll discharge, and we'll run straight down through there and through those woods right there. On the other side of those trees is where the pond is going to be. There used to be one there, and he's got to clean it out and fix it. But anyway, everything's coming along here. It's going to be a beautiful job. He's got all his brickwork done, and we're going to be pretty proud of this thing when it's over. And we're not really ready to do any of our work at this moment. Our next stage will be, as soon as they get sheetrock in, we'll come in and finish piping out the refrigerant lines and go ahead and evacuate them and open them up and release them and have them ready to run. And then, like I say, the minute we get permanent power, we'll turn this thing on and see if we can get a little shot from the front here. We will turn this thing on and give them heat to work with. Of course, I say heat, and right now today's November 1st, and what we're doing right now is we're running heat at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then we're running air conditioning at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I guess if you want to call this fall or whatever you want to call it, that's a strange South Carolina weather. But we'll keep you posted, and get some footage on the next step. Thanks for watching. Okay, looks like the phone's gonna ring every time I start videoing, but so we can see the walls are a little thicker here around this room, and then these corner braces are built a little heavier duty, and so he's got some steel beams up here under the concrete, and so you know, he'll have his gun safe in here, or ever how many he's got or whatever safes, and be a little storm room to go hide in. It's pretty big. I don't know, that's probably 20 foot long or better, about that. And so I guess you could hide in here better than sitting in a closet or a bathroom if there were some kind of bad storm. But nonetheless, he's getting ready to sheetrock. So I just was making a quick pass through here to make sure we were going to be able to get him some heat pretty quick after he gets his permanent power meter. So I'm hoping they'll hang the rock all up, and he's got it already delivered. There's a bunch of it in here, so hopefully he gets the power meter on pretty quick, and we'll get out here and get them some heat going they can finish it with. You just got to be real careful when you filter these things for them to be in here sanding. I really don't care for that. Really make them use these little bullet heaters until they get all the sanding and finishing done, and then when they start painting, I can live with them running the units. But that's what we'll aim for, and of course we'll have to make the homeowner happy. There is no builder for me to deal with here. So that's a good thing and a bad thing when you got a homeowner running his own job. At least you're not dealing with the builder, but there again, the homeowner doesn't really have a lot of experience, so you have to kind of lead them along, but it works out pretty good. This one is very intelligent, very smart guy, so that helps a lot. He's definitely capable of understanding what everybody's doing, and he's willing to put in the work and the research and, you know, look out for himself pretty well. So, boy, that spray foam is pretty intimidating up there. I mean, it is massive on that roof line, and but it looks good in the rest of the house. It's all shaved correctly and looking pretty nice. So I look forward to turning the heat on in this house. I tell you, I really do. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll keep you posted, and the next clip should be a bit different than this one. Okay, here at this geothermal house, we are getting real close to ready to give them heat. I've told the homeowner as soon as he gets our permanent power set, we'll hook these up and give him some heat to paint and finish with. Here's his disconnects. 2 of those are ours. I'm not sure what the other one, not sure what that does, but these 2 are for our 2 geo units that go right here. Here's our 2. He just gave us a 1-inch line. I would have teed it for him, but he went ahead and separated it. So there's our 2 incoming water lines from the well, and there's our 2 3/4 discharge lines that we ran to go outside, and you know, they run straight down and go outside, and they'll go to keep his well topped off and filled. There is another panel downstairs right here, and this is like a, I don't know, a gun safe room maybe I would call it, but it's also a storm safe area. this front porch up here has got quite a bit of steel reinforcement, quite a bit, as you can see, of wood holding up the beams, and you know, so all these walls. Okay, looks like the phone's gonna ring every time I start videoing, but so we can see the walls are a little thicker here around this room, and then these corner braces are built a little heavier duty, and so he's got some steel beams up here under the concrete, and so you know, he'll have his gun safe in here, or ever how many he's got or whatever safes, and be a little storm room to go hide in. It's pretty big. I don't know, that's probably 20 foot long or better, about that. And so I guess you could hide in here better than sitting in a closet or a bathroom if there were some kind of bad storm. But nonetheless, he's getting ready to sheetrock. So I just was making a quick pass through here to make sure we were going to be able to get him some heat pretty quick after he gets his permanent power meter. So I'm hoping they'll hang the rock all up, and he's got it already delivered. There's a bunch of it in here, so hopefully gets the power meter on pretty quick, and we'll get out here and get them some heat going they can finish it with. You just got to be real careful when you filter these things for them to be in here sanding. I really don't care for that. Really make them use these little bullet heaters until they get all the sanding and finishing done, and then when they start painting, I can live with them running the units. But that's what we'll aim for, and of course we'll have to make the homeowner happy. There is no builder for me to deal with here, so that's a good thing and a bad thing when you got a homeowner running his own job. At least you're not dealing with the builder, but there again, the homeowner doesn't really have a lot of experience, so you have to kind of lead them along. But it works out pretty good. This one is very intelligent, very smart guy, so that helps a lot. He's definitely capable of understanding what everybody's doing, and he's willing to put in the work and the research and you know, look out for himself pretty well. So boy, that spray foam is pretty intimidating up there. I mean, it is massive on that roof line, and but it looks good in the rest of the house. It's all shaved correctly and looking pretty nice. So I look forward to turning the heat on in this house. I tell you, I really do. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll keep you posted, and the next clip should be a bit different than this one. All right, this is about as far as we're going to get with it today. We've got our water lines coming down. We've got one line set run over and bent, ready to go in. Got them both sitting on bricks and the rubber isolation pads. We're going to keep these cardboard covers on them till the day they move in. But it's starting to get somewhere, so we'll be back at it tomorrow. So what we did with this Freon line, the line set from the top, is you can see it there coming down above this air handler for the basement. And we managed to take our bender, I don't know if we can see it. You can see where it comes through, but we managed to get our bender on it. So it goes all the way from the attic through there with no joints right down through here. And we used our bender there and here. Obviously right here we're going to cut it and have a fitting right here. I love the bender and I love the swedging tool, and I hate fittings, but you do have to use them from time to time. So we're going to use one right here. All right, I've got this fitted the way I want it. So we're going to use a, believe it or not, this 4-ton geothermal has 3/4 suction line. So I've run a 7/8 up to our air handler. So I'm going to take this 7/8 street L, which fits inside the 3/4, over the 3/4 pipe pretty well. So I'm going to take my swedging tool and I'm going to tap this out just a little bit, just to make this a tight fit right there. And then we're going to braze all this up. I've got a scrap piece of 3/4 line here, but first I'm going to cut this back to take this ugly spot out of it. And I'm going to cut us a piece of this and slide it up here and try to compress it and hold it back with a tubing cutter. That way when we release it, it looks solid to here. You know, on a high-end job like this, geothermal, indoor condensers, everything needs to look good. So that's the reason we're keeping the cabinets covered, and of course we've got this one off so we can braze, but when we leave here we want this job to really look good. So that's what I'm going to do right here, and then we're going to braze this in. And I guess I will probably trickle my nitrogen from the liquid side right here. That's where we'll purge from. And then we've got to go up and turn the power on to the air handler because it has a EEV instead of a TXV. And that's an electronic expansion valve, of course. And it'll be closed. Like, you won't pressure test or blow or trickle your nitrogen through from one side to the other without power on the air handler, and then it'll open to a default. I think it's 50% just when it's powered on the expansion valve. So let's get all that done and we'll start welding. All right, so what I did is I took my Hillmore swedging tool, and you can see I've swedged it out a bit and got it to where this fits tight. Now it fits so tight that I had to take the deburring tool and go around the outside. The Hillmore's a nice kit, but the deburr tool will go inside and outside, depending on which side. And you can see where I had to take an edge off of it. So now we've made this 7/8 street fitting tightly fit the 3/4 piece of line. So now that's a good transition from 7/8 to 3/4. So we're going to weld all this up, and on this 3/8, I'm not sure how tight we can bend it either. I think I'll go ahead and use a fitting here and put an actual elbow on it, but we just want to make this look good. And I don't know if any of you use these easy pull line sets. They're really tough, armor flex on them, and I don't know if that's why they call them easy pull, but if you pull them, you know, like through a wooden notch or whatever, they don't rip up. But the one thing about them, they are extremely difficult to compress. It took 2 of us to push a piece back on this and compress this enough to where we could hold it back away from the joints. Now when we release all this, it'll come back and cover this all the way and look like a smooth piece without any gobs of tape on it. But anyway, that's one thing about this. It's difficult to work with, but it'll end up looking good in the end. So let's get our nitrogen hooked up here. We got to get our caps off, and we'll get this thing welded up. All right, another thing we're using is this cold shield spray bottle, and you can see it right there on the tubes. I haven't welded this spot yet, but I'll just put it on there about like that. It is a real good no mess or low mess situation. Now that tip, you can turn it and it actually sprays or squirts. I use it on the squirt just to where it squirts like a big ring you'd wear on your finger around it. And this valve will not get hot. There's our nitrogen line here, but this valve won't get hot with that right there. It's an amazing product. I've got another video I did of it you can dig and find. So anyway, we're going to make our last couple brazes here and go upstairs. Alright, so that's our final look that we were after here. And mainly just didn't want a bunch of rips and cuts and tapes on the Armorflex. So those little things add up to the homeowner, but he paid an awful lot of money for these two geos. So we're going to be sure to do these the best we can. I'm trying to keep dirt off of them and everything, but it's hard to do. This floor is really nasty down here, and everything you touch gets on it. Alright, I haven't been up here since the spray foam was done in the attic, and it's all over the ductwork and stuff, and I don't guess that's not going to hurt anything. But, and there's just an end cap, so there's nothing out of the end that's hurting anything. And so we're still looking good. So if I remember, yep, our line sets right above there. So it comes up through the floor right over there. So we got to add some here and tie it in. And there's our drain already laying over here with Armorflex on it, so we just got to tie it in. So let's see if we can get this all tightened up, looking good. And one more thing about the spray foam house is they get this crap all over your copper, and I mean, it doesn't just rub off, it's basically glue. So luckily we had a tape here, a spot here with tape on it that was holding the bundle of extra thermostat wire, so we're going to cut it right here and weld there, and then we can pull this off, and there's a clean spot right here. But boy, what a mess that stuff makes everywhere. I guess there's a price you pay to, along with the good comes the bad, along with the bad comes the good. But what a mess it made of our line set. But ain't no sense crying about it now. Okay, now on this, what I'll normally do, now we will have no heat strip, by the way, on the geothermal. No need for it. So this door will be empty. And this gets those two grommets right there. Everybody hates these plastic, well, not everybody, but a lot of people do, and they just haven't taken the time and patience to work with them enough to get proficient at it. But so what I'll do, and there's a little note about it right there. What I'll do is take that, cut this, and let this sensor hang off while we weld, and I'll weld me a little short piece on there first with the heat shield and everything on here and protect the inside of this air handler and get it out here to where I can work with it. I don't necessarily put the door back on. It's just something I've always done, and that way I can put a fitting here that goes straight up and not sweep out here, because where I'm at, you know, you can see the wood and all right here, so there's not a super big amount of room right here. There's enough room that if we had to, you know, get the coil out or the blower out, we could, but I'm just going to sweep these lines kind of that way, not worry about blocking that door because we'll never use it. So anyway, let's open it up and get that done. Okay, a lot of people hate the train door. It's hard to get on the Hyperion. These plastic, they call them air handlers, are not really plastic. If you drill, there's a lot of plastic on them, but this is metal and it's coated. So if you drill a hole here for your high voltage, like we're probably going to do, see, here's the spot they either drill in. You'll see metal shavings under that coating. So it's not a total plastic air handler like some of them are led to believe, or some of them assume. So these go on here first like that, and they hang into that notch right there, and then the door slides on. So, you know, it's not super easy to get those in. You can see, I'll just take one out. You can see how that goes. And behind that door, the lip here, and then the new door goes on. So it, you know, probably not what I would have designed myself for field use, but this is what we've got, and it does work very well. It's just a little bit cantankerous to work with. So I can't get the door on with one hand, not this door, that's for sure. So let's keep moving here. All right, it did take both hands, but this door just goes in and slides in that way. And you can see these seal the lines pretty good. The rubber grommets do, and they are tight. So that is an aggravating door and setup to deal with, but it's pretty nice when it's over and done and in there. So let's get our drain hooked up and put this other door back on. We got to bring our wire in, and we're ready to hook the relay panel up and get them some heat. Start to decide, is it heat or cool? And right now here in South Carolina, we need heating at night and cooling in the daytime, but we're going to fire it up in the heat mode and start letting these floors acclimate, and these walls and everything, subfloors, so the wood people will come in. Okay, so they actually give you a little pilot hole there to start, and that is right under the spot that they recommend. Normally your heater kit plugs on here, but we're just going to cut this and wire nut to the red and black is hot, and those two greens are the ground. So I'm going to just take a hole saw and drill this big enough for the you see metal shavings there. So I'm quite sure you can see it has a composite coated air handler, but it does have a metal frame, the metal case. So just gonna let you see that. A lot of people complain that they don't think the plastic air handler is a good idea, but there you can see it's actually just plastic coated. So let's hook this wire up. if we can get any idea of the thickness there. Not really, but we can see that it's metal. Okay, another option on these grommets is you can put your door on this way and have them fed into where this ledge here is, where it looks just like that, and then this door will go on totally from outside. Now these two have to kind of go in order. This one is last, but you can put it on here. And another thing is, you always need this drain fitting installed before putting this door on, or it's a real pain. Some male adapters will go through this hole, but most don't, and you need it. You see this big gap right here, you need the big hex head part of that, if you have that type, to be on the inside, and then the door goes over it. But you can do it this way, and that way you can fight with these rubber things if they give you trouble. Once you get used to them, they don't give you any trouble. But anyway, so that's another option. We're going to stick the door on. We got our sensor back in place, and everything's been pressure tested, so we are ready for vacuum here shortly. The first one here, got the Fillmore 9 CFM running. Probably been running a little longer than it has to. Down to 232 microns, so we're going to go ahead and release it and keep moving. Get this other one piped in and ready too. Okay, so the top floor 4 tons is ready to turn on, and I got one last thing to do, is hook my high voltage wire into it, but I'm not going to do it unless I'm here to crank it. So it's released and ready to run. I mean, we've weighed it in, so it's charged and ready to go. And then I find out that that there's something with the well, and we've got no water. So there was some kind of leak over here last night that they were dealing with, the plumbers and the well people, and I see they got something going on upstairs too, so I don't know what that's all about. So we're going to be held up, I don't know, probably a day or two, I guess. So I'm not going to wire in the taco valves, taco, whatever they are, we call them tacos. I'm not going to wire those in, or the high voltage to the machines, just so I'm absolutely sure they don't get started without me being here. So this will obviously have to be another day, but we're ready to start the main floor up as soon as they get us water, so we'll get some footage on that.